Keep on this time. Heavy is the head. I see the boat throwing. I'm too full with it. I gotta keep going. Kobe with the wins. You niggas just Ginobili. You winning only cause of me. Let's keep the ball rolling. No disrespect, Slim. Where is your check, Slim? Welcome back to another episode of the You Weren't There podcast. I'm, of course, your host, at Me Who Was Here. We got our resident co-host, Chaz DL, in the building, and a very, very special show for y'all today. We can go around the room. We're going to let our guests introduce themselves, and we can go ahead and get started. Sean?
What's up, y'all? I go by the name Sean Minotti, or Minotti, producer from right here, DC. Also a writer, also entrepreneur, small business owner. I got a clothing line or merch line, I say. Started out as a kid modeling, acting, so I've been kind of like in the industry as far as entertainment for a good minute. Then I got a little older. I didn't want to do it no more. My mother was mad at me. If she tell y'all the story, she ain't want me to stop. But I wanted to play sports and everything like that. So that came to an end. Then as I got a little older, probably like 14, 15, 16, I always had a passion for drums, playing the drums. So that led me to go to a go-go band, start playing the go-go bands.
What band?
Black Madness Band. We had a good little run opening for TCB probably for like a year. You know what I'm saying?
I remember.
So from that's what catapulted me to the music scene. One of my good men, his little brother downloaded Fruity Loops, which
Classic.
the demo, which a lot of people, a lot of people started right there, the demo joint on the computer, using the computer monitors. You know what I'm saying? No bass, no nothing, just you know what I mean? And just started from there, like cranking out. Then from there, had some ups and downs with life, you know what I'm saying? Then ended up, fast forward, ended up in Atlanta. I stayed in Atlanta for like 4 years. And I worked with, that's where I really got to see the industry. My uncle was down there, had some family down there that's in the industry. So from
Shout out to Unc. He kicking it with us today, too.
You know what I'm saying? But that was like the time where I really learned like what the industry was outside of just making music or whatever like that. Being in those rooms and being in those sessions and being around a lot of people that we see on TV and stuff like that, and just seeing like how I really, how the business really worked. So then I came back, and I'm just fast forwarding, but I came back to the city or whatever, and got things going. And here we are now. Still hustling, still working, trying to build this brand up, trying to get the business together. And like being in Atlanta, for that time period, that really gave me the wisdom and the knowledge I needed now to be able to really get things going. I used to be like, damn, why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why my time ain't happening? I'm watching everything around me taking off, and I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't my time, you know what I'm saying? So now I got the wisdom, I got the knowledge, I know how to move, I know how the business work, you know what I'm saying? So, here we are now. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it, you know what I'm saying? The quick joint.
All right, we appreciate you, Sean. Mark, give us your story.
All right, so my name is King Mark. That's what I go by on Instagram. Pretty much I'm the director of digital at 95.5 WPGC. I'm a real estate investor, and I also am a cybersecurity expert. So essentially how I got into videos or camera work, I was graphic design for a long time for my brothers. And then there was a lot of people in the neighborhood that, rap. And y'all know everybody rap or hoop. Like, that's just one or the other. So I was just trying to be different, to be honest. So I was just like, we got a rapper, we got somebody that play basketball, we got somebody to play football. I need to try to stand out a little bit. So basically, I just picked up the camera and started shooting all the friends, all the men around the way, people at school, and then I just started going up that way. But then as of recently, probably like the last like 5 years, I just been shooting business brands and entrepreneurs, because that's pretty much what landed me to being in tech and then also real estate. So I use the camera as a tool rather than using it for money. So if I wanted to learn about real estate, I just go find somebody to shoot real estate. If I want to learn about credit, go find somebody to shoot credit. So that's pretty much how I catapulted and just became successful, or at least what I believe is successful. Like I said, I'm a real estate investor. I purchased 2 condos in Atlanta, and then I just purchased a house out here yesterday, 2 days ago. I just closed 2 days ago. So yeah, it's pretty much my story. And then, like I said, I'm in tech, so I just be in the crib working on my tech stuff, working with the camera stuff, and then just searching on real estate deals. And a lot of people don't know, use that AI. So I pretty much use tech to generate everything. So do the videos, do the real estate investment deals, and looking for the perfect thing, you just use AI for real. So that's how I got here, y'all.
Not in facts, man. Not in facts. I'm an accountant and project manager in real life. And I mean, it's sweeping through like everything, right? If you need to learn project management, which is how things get done, I think like, especially when you're talking about like on a large or on a global scale, which is what we operate on, project managers are really the people that kind of like see a thing through. And then I manage the finances of a thing, right? When you managing a project of any kind, really resourcing is like a big part of it, right? And I think music is the perfect example of that, right? You want to put out a single, right? How much does the marketing and the branding cost in order to do that? If you don't have existing contacts, right? If you don't have existing connections that can help you push that thing forward, right? You want to shoot a video for that. How much does that cost, right? How much time do you need in order to be able to like create it and then shoot it and then edit it and then like push it before you actually put it out, right? Like that's what resourcing deals in. And most resourcing revolves around money. If you don't have it, it's hard to get things done. Honestly, I think that to me is the biggest barrier of artists in this area is money. It's not talent. I don't think it's like really knowledge. I think a lot of artists have done the legwork to try to figure out, you know, how to move this thing and how to keep it going. And that's not even as far as just the rappers. I'm talking about from the go-go bands to, you know, the digital creators, to the photographers, to the fashion show designers. Like, I think people have like the knowledge and the skill set. I think money is a huge factor in things though. And I think it's the difference between like at this point, whether or not like those dreams come all the way to fruition, if you don't have like the drive to make it all come. Because I think like you could have like all of the knowledge in the world, but like if you don't have the drive to push through the fact that you don't got no money to make that thing pop, like it's gonna be hard to get it going every time. And so often like it does take like a certain amount of like drive and innovation to move something that you don't necessarily have a whole lot of financial backing to push, or you don't necessarily have like the contacts to push, or you don't necessarily have like the wave to push, right? Because some of it is just about momentum. So, I mean, for me, like, I think music is what taught me how to survive like my actual job. And so now I do it all, which is nice. Bobby, give us your story.
My name is Bobby Higgins. Artist from PG County. Been doing music my whole life, honestly. Probably started when I was about 9. I know it was 9. My dad died when I was like 9 years old. So he was in a band, and back in the day it was called like Choice Band, I believe. Choice Band. He was the lead mic for them. So when he passed away, I was the only child. So I used poetry to like, you know, deal with pain and deal with whatever I was going through. Always, like forever, never went away from the pen. As I grew up, I ended up going to Edna Roosevelt for a little bit. Then that changed. It went to like battle rapping. I don't know if y'all familiar with like Airport Tone and all those guys like that. Yeah, used to be battle rapping after school. So I ain't doing no work. I'm in there preparing for 3 o'clock. You know. Then from there, I started doing music though. My cousin, his name is Brandy, took me to a studio, and I think the first song I ever rapped on was like "Say You Will" or something like that.
That was a moment.
Yeah.
Everybody touched
Kanye Jones?
Yeah. Kanye Jones. So I rapped on
I
"Say."
heard that on.
I rapped on.
I feel so alone.
Yeah. So I rapped on it was Say You Will and Run This Town, I think, at the time. So I was in there and we ain't had no money. So it's like we like 5 artists for real, paying for like 4 hours. We in there doing 1-2 takes, like, you know what I mean? We try, and for real, that's my first time in the studio. So I really was I said I go last, hoping they run out of time for real. You know what I'm saying? So once I did my record, you know, you could just see the studio was like a little different. And I just felt at home. I never felt like at peace like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, and it comes naturally, you know. So from that point on, I started like making music and I made a few songs with different artists. And what happened after that? Oh yeah, so then life goes on. I kind of took a break from it because, you know, I had family issues and things like that. And now where we are now, I think I'm in a good place where then I understand what needs to be done. I'm a bit of a recluse, so all the extra stuff is a little different for me. But now I understand how to do the content thing and understand the marketing and understanding, making sure we put a brand together so people know what you're doing, you know. So that's where we are now. I'm excited for especially this year, you know. But yeah, that's kind of my story the whole way.
Okay.
That's right.
And Bobby, I'm gonna start with you.
Mhm.
So, like, what are you working on right now?
I actually got like a EP coming out this month, probably like the 17th, and then like I guess you would call it an album. Went about it like an album, but it's like my project coming out in September, October.
Okay.
Then I got another EP coming out at the end of the year.
Okay.
But it's a lot on a big project, so we kind of just using the other EP to make sure we, you know,
Okay.
in everybody's face because the project we got, I'm excited about it. Like I think it's my best music to date. So I'm excited. There's a lot of different features and stuff on there that I'm excited for people to hear. But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think the first question that I have for everybody sitting here, because y'all are really different in terms of like what your interests are,
Mhm.
what you specialize in,
Yeah.
right, what you're good at, and kind of like where your passions lie. Right. So I think the first question that I want to ask, which to me is always the most important, is like, and tell the truth. Like, don't come up here and bullshit, because I'm not having it. Like, and if you ever watch this shit, like, I'm not doing all that. Like, I'm calling niggas out in these seats. These my seats. You can leave if you want. Like, I'm not doing none of that shit. But real talk, what's more important, the craft or the money? Come on now, Sean. Come on now. Flies niggas sitting up here, got the
It
rodeo
gotta
on
be
and
the-
shit.
look,
Come on now.
man, listen. It's both, but it's the craft though, right? It's the craft. But you know, I feel like this. When you hone in on your craft and you put them 10,000 hours in and you work hard and you know you then put that work in, the money gonna come. But we're not gonna sit here and act like, you know, we don't want to be compensated for what we good at doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not about the money. You know what I'm saying? It's about being successful at your craft and knowing that you great at what you do. But, you know, and at the same time, you know, that's gonna come. The money gonna come from that. So
For sure.
it's gonna always. It got to be the craft. You know what I'm saying? If you leave with the money, I feel like you're not gonna get the money. If you do it for the money, you're not gonna get the money because you're chasing it. You know what I'm saying? But if you chase your craft and be great at what you do, stand out from everybody else, and you really create a lane for yourself, the money gonna come. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Bobby.
I think same thing he said. I think for me it's the craft, but you definitely want to be compensated for what you do. For me it's the craft because, like I told you, I was the only child, so music was like, you know, got me through. You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely think for me, I do music the rest of my life, regardless of what. But we definitely trying to get some money out of it, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
We got, man. Like I know some people got kids and family.
For sure,
man.
for sure.
Just, you know, you gotta
So
get
Bobby
compensated
got more
for
kids
that
than
work.
everybody sitting up here for sure. Definitely understand
Hey,
that.
go ahead.
You sure you third now? What you doing?
Hey, yeah, I got 3 of them things. 3 of them things. 3 of them
Do my
things.
research now. Don't come over here. Don't come
Got
over
3
here.
of them, yeah, for sure.
King Mark.
To be honest, I think the money, right? And
This is why I'm asking.
right, and the reason why I say the money is because Michael Jordan isn't the best basketball player to ever live, but the person that is
That's
probably
debatable.
just didn't have the money.
That's
to
debatable.
No, but I'm just saying. So, say it's somebody in the hood that just never got an opportunity to go to a private school, never got the opportunity to go to AAU and do all that extra stuff, right? They would never get known. So, if they had the money to do that, then they would probably get known, right? So, I feel like money is more important because, at least in the times that we live in right now, talent isn't really, talent ain't it right now. It's really about who got the marketing, who got the money to get pushed the most. Because these artists right now aren't rapping for real, right? So, clearly the craft ain't it as far as what I believe in, you know what I mean? So I think money easily because money gonna take you places that your talent can't, you know what I mean? And I just feel like money gonna get you into rooms that you're not gonna be able to get into just being somebody that's talented. There's plenty of talented people in the world, but nobody will ever know them because they ain't got no money. So
I think this is such an interesting conversation to have, right? Because I know that the artists on the panel don't agree with that, right? Which is why I'm here. I'm so good at this, I know. But seriously speaking, like I think as somebody who has, because Mark is 27.
yeah.
Right? So 27, I was about his age when I bought my first house. I say it like it was so long ago. It feels like it though, honestly. It does. It feels like it. But I remember like being in music and being dead broke. And I remember how hard it was, not just to get that music recorded, but to get it to like DJ Gemini, to get it played, not even in a prime slot, but to get it played like the overnight sessions, right? And that was without having to pay him. But you need a connection somewhere to even get that close, right? And I remember like I had a podcast interview just like this with a buddy of mine, and he put me on with an opportunity to do commercials. I did that first commercial and never really went back to music because like it's hard making anything in music now more than ever. And I think there was a time where you could potentially get rich in music. You needed to be highly aware of your business. You needed to be highly aware of your contractual obligations and how those things work, how they work in perpetuity. What your royalties and rights look like, what sync license it looks like, who that money goes to. Is it in an account? Is it in a trust? Who's controlling the trust? Like these are things that like are at your fingertips now, right? In a way that they weren't, I think, when me and Bobby started. So I think like the understanding of like what you could do, what you could be is so much greater now because there's so much more opportunity for learning. But I think like I knew Mark was gonna say that, and I knew what y'all was gonna say too. But I think that that's an interesting paradigm, right? Because I think that there is a creative side of it where you feel like the music matters more than anything, and if you love it enough, stick with it long enough, care about it enough, put enough of yourself into it, the dream will be realized. But the reality is, I think being in the other side of it now and having a couple dollars now, I just don't think that that's true anymore.
I agree with what he said and to an extent. Like I get what he's saying as far as like what the money do to push, you know what I mean, what you're trying to do. My point is just more on the side, like to me, if you only caring about the money, it kind of put that little block up there because you chasing it, you chasing the money, right? So although he has a point, I do agree with what you're saying as far as like what the money do for you once you get it, if you got some money, how it help you get in those rooms and how it help you market and do all that stuff. But to even to even get in a space to even get that money, you gotta get vicious at what you do. You right, talent, everybody talented, right? Everybody got some type of talent, but how hard you want to work to outwork everybody that's talented to stick out from all of that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I ain't saying he wrong. I agree with you. Cause like you had a point, but it's like to me, that work ethic, that like how hard you want to go, how bad do you want it? You know what I'm saying? And then once you get yourself in that space and you put the work in, the money gonna start just coming.
For sure.
And now you can, you know what I mean? You can put the money places and get things done. But
for sure. Question: do you feel like the money in any way blocks out some of the talent.
I feel
Right.
like sometimes people, and I feel like the industry also play on that.
Mm,
They play on that. They know people. Can we cuss on that? I don't know.
of course.
People fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So they'll play on that, and you know what I mean. They and give shitty deal, whatever the case. But it's like, yeah, the industry know that. So like, what you willing to, you do anything for money? Like, nah. So you was like, you just gotta stay focused, lock in, and do what you gotta do. So that way you shining over top of everybody. Now the money coming everywhere. You know what I'm saying? All the
For sure.
opportunities coming.
Bobby?
Yeah, I agree with a little bit what he said too. But I think the money does, cloud it up. Like if you think about it, you would think that the biggest artist was like Dirk, all those the drill rappers and stuff. But the people who sell the most are actually the guys with substance. If you think about it, like it's not a lot of them. That's because they're not pushing that because it's easy. Because when those guys who have like substance, when they get there, they try to make a change. They don't want no change. We're gonna put you in here. We're gonna throw you out. We're gonna switch you out. So I do think that. I think that for me, when I was answering the question earlier, I was saying more so like what means more to me, the craft mean more to me, because I've been through a lot. I wouldn't have got through it without it, So, but yeah, I think the money do. Like they just throw money on whatever, and it has some.
For sure. I definitely think the money blocks out not necessarily like the creative element of things, though it can, right? You throwing money at a situation, it means that are you obligated to create a certain kind of thing based on who gave it to you? How long are you obligated to create that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Have they ruined your career by boxing you into something? Because I feel like the reality is that like a lot of the record executives that control the bulk of the resources don't look like us, right? And so there's much less understanding of what these people truly go through, what these experiences in these communities really look like, how playing up those experiences, those traumas, like how that can ruin a life, right? I think Dirk is proving that to us right now. But he's not the first and he won't be the last of like guys who play up their trauma for money and then are like almost forced into this position where you have to then prove like that those things are real and that you're real as a result, right? And what does that do to your life? Like when you have completely escaped this, but still have to prove that it's legitimate, right? And the record labels, they're going to make that money posthumously. That means post-death. For those that don't know,
They're gonna make more money.
A lot of times rappers do sell much more posthumously. If you get locked up, they're gonna still sell those records because a lot of times they own, the rights to that if you haven't been checking your contracts. So the point I'm making is that the label doesn't care whether or not you're okay. They don't care if you survive the situation. That's not relevant because they're gonna make money off of you regardless. So I think to me, I think it has to be craft and passion over everything. But I think realistically speaking, you don't make as much money overall because I think it's very easy to pull up the J. Cole's and maybe like the Kendricks and the JIDs and like these like more substance-based rappers, this more substance-based music. I think it's very easy to pull like the largest in the game and say, no, this can produce. How many years of like did they put in, right? Well over 10,000 hours. I think that's the conversation that people are not willing to have. Like, yeah, substance sales. I don't care what these labels are telling you. I don't care what these record executives are telling you. Substance sales, no question. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else to get out here and get to it. But the reality is that the industry is a numbers game. There are 80,000 new songs that come out per day. How many of those 80,000 do you think might be substantial? Probably more than a few. I ain't gonna put an estimate on it, but you know that at least a part of that, right? Sure. Even if it's just a quarter of it, has to be music that has a message, that has substance, that means something, right? The game is based on numbers, right? And we live in an algorithm-based society. Algorithms control literally everything, down to what you buy at a shop, down to what you buy at a grocery store, right? You like this thing because it's been advertised, and now you want to try it,
for sure.
Or this thing was pushed to you months ago. And like it hits your subconscious. And so now like you're purchasing it months later, right? Because something triggered that. Like the algorithm is controlling everything. AI is controlling everything. But at the end of the day, I do think that like good music, music of value matters. It always has and it always will. But does that mean that you're going to be successful by like the general terms? And what does that mean? What is success really?
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's easy to say that it's based on whatever your definition of that is, right? But there is a baseline, right, that people don't really want to discuss, especially if they haven't hit it yet. So, like, what does that really mean? As far it's the truth, right? Like, it's like money don't matter. That's a broke nigga favorite anthem. Like, I don't want to hear that shit because that's bullshit. It matters. It controls how you live your life. It controls your level of comfort. Should it make you happy? No. You need to already be that before that money come in. Right? Should it dictate the way that you behave, your morals, your value system? Of course not, right? It would be ridiculous to say that and really mean it. But it do sometimes.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? I think shout out to Drake, man. Like I know I'm not gonna get into it today. I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not gonna get into it today. But I just think that like when we name like the biggest rappers in the game, like there's a difference between like who we fell in love with, 10, 15 years ago versus who these men are right now.
Yeah.
And I think like that's why we forgive Ye for so much of his shit, because we still in love with Graduation Ye, and we still in love with, college dropout Ye, and we still in love with late registration Ye. But that Ye is not here anymore. And I think like as an artist, you need to like cope with the reality of like how you're transitioning in your journey and what that means for the type of person that you becoming. How much of yourself are you willing to sell? Because all of this is entertainment. You selling something about yourself. How much of yourself are you willing to sell to get to it? Let's start with you, Bobby.
Not much. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what about. Not much. Yeah, I'm more of a like I told you, I'm a recluse. So like that's the reason why like it's hard for me on Instagram. Like things I love the most, I'll keep it to myself, But yeah, I think it is a game though. Like I think you gotta play the game a little bit. You know what I mean? I think it's stubborn just to say, hey, look, I'm gonna do it my way. This is how it's gonna go. You gotta, when you get to a certain level, then you can be like, all right, cool, I'm not doing that no more. That's what we're doing, But I do believe that to get where you want to go, you gotta play the game a little bit, at least. That's what I would say.
Mark, as somebody in tech, right? Aware of the way that algorithms kind of control the way that we live, the way that we function, the way that we shop, what we invest in, how we build our lives as people, right? How do you feel like what you're learning just in terms of like kind of money overall, like what gems would you give an artist? Like in terms of like, all right, you trying to like get your money up to put this project out. What's some easy ways to kind of do that?
I would say start little shows, you know what I mean? So like little shows around the city. So a lot of people don't understand that, like, say you throw a show, say you put it on a flyer, like, hey, I got a show coming up, right? Whoever show up, just know they rocking with you. So that's your core audience. Those are the people you start with. Those are the people you want around you the most, because those are the people who were with you when you didn't have a big fan base, right? Boom. You lock in with them, sell merch, you sell whatever you need to sell to get whatever you need to go. Boom, you start there. Then after there, back to the algorithm thing. Honestly, like I said, take money to blow it as an artist, because back to the algorithm. If you see somebody on 5 different platforms at one time, that means they doing something. And that's why I say the craft isn't as important anymore, because all you do is just need to be visible. Like if somebody see you on 5 different platforms, you could be some trash, but as long as they see you, cool with me. You know what I mean? They somebody.
Yeah.
And
Perception.
Right. And it's not even that, because it could be somebody to know somebody to know somebody. You know what I mean? And that's really what it is. AI is crazy in the way that the industry is going within tech, because everything is algorithm based, like you said, everything from the clothes, the shoes, everything. But it's just about being visible. So whenever you are, say you have a conversation with somebody, right? And he'd be like, dang, I'm talking about Lululemon, and now I get Lululemon ads coming up and stuff like that. All that's intentional. So when you, as an artist, you have to be intentional on making yourself relevant and keep showing yourself. So regardless of the fact, say I came on this podcast, you guys were construction workers. As long as I'm visible, it works for me. You know what I mean? I could have came up here and talked about anything. It didn't matter to me, because they see Mark, he's on this podcast, that podcast. So I might be broke. Y'all never know. But it looked like I'm cool because I'm with y'all. You know what I mean? So I guess that answers the question.
I have a question
I
though.
guess
So
that's it.
Little
it's
tangent.
so is I just want to hear what you want to say. Is AI gatekeeping talent in the craft of the people? And if so, why? Why do you think they're doing that?
I would say is it gatekeeping? What do you mean by that?
Like you said, you can be you don't crafters don't really matter no more because AI and the algorithm.
Mhm.
So that makes me ask, why are they pushing the algorithm to stop the gifted and the talented?
That's easy. That's an easy
Mhm.
answer. You know why? Because the people that's controlling AI are the ones that are top, all the way at the top with all the money.
with no talent.
But not even that. I'm talking about the label rep. But I'm talking about the label reps. All those people that are blocking the real talented people are pushing the ones that are just. She was a fairy, like, come on, man. But the people, I mean, back to Trump. All the people in Trump's inner circle are obviously going to be successful because they're the ones at top controlling everything on the bottom. So the AI is pushing all that. So the people that own AI are the ones that are friends with the label reps, the friends with X, Y, and Z. It's all about who you know. So you could just block all that out and put it's a fairy, and we're gonna go up from there.
So that's
why I said
interesting.
it.
So that means so
That'd be me.
if I had to answer that question, then in the short term, yeah, money matter. But the long term, craft, because the cream is always going to rise to the top. So like you said, the ones at the top, they copy. They don't really have the talent or the.
I don't want to sound like devil's
Go ahead.
advocate because I hate that term. But I think
God's advocate. There we go.
there you go, God's advocate, because there are different sides to this argument, right? Or to this conversation. If you think about it, the concept of cream always rises to the top, is that really true? Pee Wee Kirkland was better than a lot of them NBA niggas and never quite. You know what I mean? There are so many stories of talented creatives across the board in every genre, in every craft that you can think of who just never got there. And it's not because they weren't talented enough. It's not because they weren't better than so much of what's sat out there. There is something else happening behind all of this. And I think that God's plan is God's plan. Because at the end of the day, I truly also believe that if you don't ever get quite there, that might be God's protection. Because I think we've seen a lot of people get to those levels, get to those places, get to those checks, those bank accounts, those situations, and lose themselves.
I've seen it firsthand.
And they are disasters after that. There are people who ruin their whole lives, but they had money. They were successful. You know what I'm saying? But their lives suck ass and they never recover from that kind of stuff. So I think that God's protection is always in play.
Yeah.
But the truth is that there are some people who are extremely talented who are just not going to get there. Why is that?
Get where? Where's that? Where is that?
That's what I was about to say.
Okay. So that depends on your definition of success, right? Okay. So Sean, when you look at success, right? Overall, what does that look like to you? And I mean, be as concise as possible. Don't give me as long as my kids go ahead.
Hey, go ahead.
What does it look like?
I was about to say,
I'm about to be real, though. That's real, bro.
That answer go down to
The person, yeah.
right? Because some people really feel that way. Because it's
that's what that matters.
that go back down to and I'm real quick before I say this because it was something I wanted to say about what he was saying, and I'm gonna forget. But a lot of times, what I was gonna say, I'm gonna skip.
AI.
I'm gonna skip.
Money. I'm trying to give you trigger words.
A lot of the times, I'm gonna skip it because I can't remember. Whatever.
Mhm.
But say your question.
What does success look like to you, really?
Success, man. For me,
For you?
I can only speak on me because I can't speak on
Just
nobody.
you.
Man, freedom, financial freedom. Number one, freedom, right? If I can, I still want to work hard, you know what I'm saying? But I want to be able to get up and do what I want to do, you know what I'm saying? While I'm getting to the money. I want to wake up and see a new bag, you know what I'm saying? What else? Seeing my family good. That's everybody.
That's crazy. That's
if
what
you don't
I'm
say that,
saying.
you don't give a fuck about it. You want all the bitches, jewelry,
Some niggas put all the bitches in the jewelry. That's
at one point, but I'm not in that space. Man.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
I got little ones, man, and I love my family. I want to see my family good. And I just want to be able to look back to everything I've been through and see the road and be like, I said I was going to do this. Not for nobody else, for me. You know what I'm saying? To be able to look at myself in the mirror and be like, you said you was going to do it, you did. You know what I'm saying? And now look at the generational wealth you created. Look at the legacy you get to leave behind. Because we all got to go one day. I don't want to just be like, he was here, he gone. Be forgot. I'm trying to leave a legacy, leave a mark.
For sure.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, like when I do things, that's my intentions behind what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's success to me. Like leaving a legacy behind, having people still talking about you when you leave here, what you do for other people, what you do for your community, what you do, you know, for the youth or whatever the case may be. That's successful. Like everybody can get to the top and get all the bag and get all these things, but it's like what you really accomplish, like how you help somebody, what you do for, you know, for other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark,
That's
what
mine.
success look like for you?
Success look like for me, I would just say making an impact for real. So to touch on basically what you said, and just to add value. So I just feel like it's important to always add value to anybody's life. So, I mean, obviously there's generations that, I mean, I don't got no kids, but maybe I will one day. But like, I ain't gonna hold y'all. I'm not looking to add value for my kids and like 5 generations after me, because realistically, wealth not gonna last that long because they don't have the same mindset as me. Maybe my kids will, but my kids might teach their kids to be something different. So like, I mean, success for me is just helping the people that are on earth right now and to help the rising youth and stuff like that. Because I don't know the way that the world's looking right now. I just don't know. Like,
Honest shitty kicking. Like, I like it.
I feel like it's that way because I'm kind of raised in a different generation. So like older people, I would say they're family oriented. They're super like, you know, the grandparents always had a million cousins in the house, but like over time, like in the Black community, it's not like that no more. Like I had a grandma, we had cousins and stuff like that, but I guarantee you, like my kids, they're when they become grandparents, it's not going to be 100 cousins in the same house. Like it just don't work that way. So like success for me is just making an impact on the earth while I'm here right now. And then, like you said, leaving a name, leaving a legacy before my kids, not my super grandkids. Like, you know, like
Not super grandkids.
no, I just
Not
don't
super grandkids.
because like that's for my kids. That's for my kids to make an impact on. Like I can't. We're not talking about our great grandparents no more. Realistically speaking, then it just who are they? Like, you know what I mean? We've never lived to see them, so why am I making an impact for people that I, you know? I mean, it's not to be
You don't
rude,
need
but
the
like,
credit. You don't need the credit.
No, I
I
get
get
what
what
he's
you're
saying.
saying. I get what you're
It's
saying. But
crazy.
it is generational. I get what you're saying. But
maybe it's the way I'm
but
saying.
because you want to make an impact and value, the people you don't know about put you in position to do that. We just don't know
Exactly.
that history.
Right.
And so because they sacrificed, died, and did what they did, for us to sit here, I mean, yeah, they was thinking down the line. You know what I'm saying? But they put it to the point to where this new us as a whole, where we at now, we don't want you to know about that because we don't want you to affect what's going on down the line.
I'm over here sounding ignorant.
No.
It's crazy.
No, you good, bro. No, you good. You sound very
Hey,
intelligent. No, you
Nah,
sound
I
very
understand what you're
intelligent,
saying,
bro.
though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because you're posing
No, it's
questions
really
and
just
answers.
Yeah.
You posing questions and answers of what the realities of the world is.
Mhm.
So that's really a intelligent thinking right there. Because the newer generation really is our best generation. Because y'all are really I don't want to say analytical thinkers, but y'all are very strategic thinkers and the why this, why that. So keep having that.
Mhm.
Because that's going to take you far. So
I'm over here like, dang, I sound bad. I don't care about my great grandkids, but I don't care about them right now.
But I
I
don't
do
care.
think, like, you're absolutely right. It is generational. So, like you said something where, like, the grandparents and stuff is not 100 cousins in the house anymore, right? So, I'm in my 30s. I have nephews who are your age, 24-ish, because my brother and my sister are a lot older than me. So, like, I've gotten to kind of, like, see, like, these generations, like, spread out. So, like, my grandmother's 88. My parents are in their 70s. My older brother and sister are in their 50s. I'm in my 30s. My nephews are in their 20s. And I have a nephew who's 9. So you get to really see like the expansion of these generations come together. But I know that that's a rarity.
Mhm.
And I know that like having those types of like generational understandings at every level does not happen for all Black folks anymore because we don't have the same family structures that we used to have.
Mhm.
I come from a very family oriented situation. My people grew up in this area. So being at my grandmother 88, like you get to hear the stories of like DC from like the 20s
Mhm.
and the nature of it all. I remember my mother telling me she didn't cross the line from DC into Maryland until she was 19 because all the cops in Maryland and PG County were coming from West Virginia. They were too racist and they never crossed the line. There are so many generations of Black folks in DC who have passed that thinking on, who have never left those 4 quadrants and they never going to. Those people are your age, but they got that thinking from my grandmother's era, like from the people who came out of the 20s and 30s. And that's the relevance that we explain it. Like you think that these like innate kind of like patterns that you've developed as like a person are just you, but the reality is that they're like an amalgamation of everything that you don't know and haven't seen, of every generation that came before you, of every generation that you're currently sitting in, and the generations that will come behind you. You just don't understand that because like you don't always have somebody 88, 89 years old to sit and tell you their story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like that for me is like the difference. But I do think that that's fascinating to hear that from you because I do think that to myself like very often, like my familial situation is different. Because there's so many generations. And my brother, 50 years old, got a 9-year-old son. That's how long he waited. So you talking about like having to bridge like a whole lot of generational stuff because you have to. You 50 and you got to accommodate a 9-year-old,
Right, that live in a completely different
that
world.
lives in a completely different time. Not to mention that like my nephew is a little bit of a prodigy. 6 instruments, stem cell and robotics training, like a black belt already because he saw me do it. Like literally, like I'm watching like the best of like the next generation happen in my house. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like
he got so much to look up.
he got so much
He
to.
got so many errors.
He got
to
so
look up.
much shit. Like I'm like, dog, this is crazy. Like he's 9 years old and in stem cell and robotics training. That is his after school program. Not even a thought when I was 9 years old. You see what I'm saying? So like what he's getting is different and a little more advanced than what you got when you was 9 years old, right? And 27 feels so young, but that time go by so fast. These niggas old as shit right now. Like, not me, but these niggas
Not me.
But these niggas old as shit.
28, yeah.
But what was you gonna hit on? Because you kind of itching to say something.
No, so she said something about when she was talking about basically her family. I was like, basically like my dad was in jail most of my life. So then he got out and he died in like 6 months after he got out. So, you know, I had a few memories with him. So, but my dad was a drug dealer. So like all I heard was negative stories. Like he and his bad temper. That's like they said jokingly, right? But and it was funny as you get older, it's like, damn, there's no other stories about my, you know. So as I got older and I talked to my grandmother, and my mom ain't really talking about him like that. We just started talking about my dad. So I ain't really know my dad like that.
That's another thing we gotta account for generationally is like some of these stories don't get shared because like they're hard on the people sharing.
I had to force it. Yeah, I had to force it. Like, hey, we ain't.
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So but when I start hearing the other stories, and because nobody's like me in my family, I'm like I always call myself like the black sheep, like this is me, right? But me and my dad are actually genuinely alike, like the way we don't like being around, like we like recluse, like it's a lot of little things that I thought was out me unique, and I was like, nigga, you just like him, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I was touching on about that part.
For sure. And I think that that's so interesting about, and maybe that's true across like every culture, right? But I can only speak for ours. And I think that that's to me the most fascinating part of being like black in America is like the journey of like what your perception of the world is so heavily indicative of like the kind of family structure that you come from.
For sure. For sure.
And some of that's negative and some of that's positive, right? If you don't come from a familial situation, I know Bobby a long time. We got a lot of history. And something that I remember about Bobby is the importance of like family.
For sure.
And like keeping that together, right? Of like, this is where my kids come from, this is where I'm trying to be. So I think that that's important because you have certain situations where like you don't know your father, he wasn't really there to raise you, and that make you like kind of hate bitches. Niggas don't trust none of them. Like I seen it. Like it's some guys like that don't have a father and like become the worst version of a man because they didn't have anybody to show them how to be one. And they go on to treat women and their children in that way, and like that gets passed down from generation to generation. It's a lot of youngins out here, they not as reckless and as wild and as harmful as they would be if they had fathers, or if they had a man to like tell them, I love you, you important, you special, and you need to like change the way that you move. There's a lot of youngins out here, particularly in this area, who are the way that they are because they ain't had no man around them to tell them that they love them. Conversely, there are men who don't need that and who just want to be what they didn't have. But that's all determined by an individual, right? But your family structure determines that one way or the other. Right? Would you be as loving, as kind, as involved, as like purposeful with your parenthood if you had a parent who wasn't purposeful or who was more purposeful? There's a lot of people that come from like very spoiled 2-parent households and grow up to be little assholes who don't care about other people. These are the scenarios.
No,
this is all real shit.
No, I think
it's easy to think that because people came from a certain kind of household that they're gonna be a certain kind of person,
right?
But that makes them better or above everybody else. I know a whole lot of dickheads came from 2-parent households. That don't mean shit.
Look at what they say about the preacher kids and stuff.
No, they always
Kids are the worst, and we have a lot of preachers in my family. So,
can I say one thing? But because touching on what you just said, I think one thing that I know not having my father, I feel like I probably cry more now as an adult than I did as a kid. You get what I'm saying? Like, because when you had your own, like all the stuff I did with my kids was like bittersweet. Like even just just giving them a bath. Like I ain't get that with my father. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, but it made me live in fear too. Like that's what made me try to turn to I always was a recluse, but like I want to be around. Like is that living though? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be around. I want to see my daughter get married. I want to see my son grow up to be everything he could be. You know what I mean? Because it hurt me so much. I don't want to do that to them. So it's little shit. Like I be in the car with my friend. He driving too fast. Hey, you got my kid's father in the car, bro. Slow down. You get what I'm saying? Like that's just how I am. Like that's one of the biggest things for me. And then I went through a thing. It was probably around COVID. 3 places I was gonna go to got shot up. 3 of them straight up. I didn't go though, right? It was like, damn, what's that? Like, you know what I mean? So those are some of the things that play on you too, for sure. Yeah.
Which I think is so interesting to hear that from men, like, because I think like, and I ain't gonna get too deep into it, but I think it's important, like that Black fathers be alive and healthy and well and mentally in a good space and available to their children. I think it's important whether you like, because I come from like kind of a mixed familial environment, kind of, not really. It's like one white dude that had babies, but point being is true. But point being is like, I think my understanding became that like no matter what the lineage in this is, like as a Black man, it's important to be there for your children. Sure. And I think like there is something missing when you come up without a dad. And I think it does a few different things. Like it'll make you a more determined, patient, present father, or it'll make you somebody who's less present and maybe less available, which affects your kids in different ways. Or maybe, just maybe, you just become the kind of person that like you there, but you're not really there.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that happens in our households too. It's like, and I think that that's improving generation to generation. I think men are more in touch than the men of our previous generation. I think that men are more communicative, more open, more vulnerable, and I think that plays into your fatherhood. But I come from like seeing uncles and dads and granddads who just didn't really know how to tell you they loved you. You know what I'm saying? Like
my grandmother, she just started saying she loved me. Like she 81.
The old school, they was different.
She was like, I love you, grandma. She was like, yeah.
I don't think like my grandfather passed away. Like Joe probably passed away like maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. I don't think Joe ever told me he loved me. Like,
but you knew he loved you though.
I don't know. Honestly, he wasn't really one of them.
Never said it, but he showed.
He wasn't really one of them. So I don't know.
Okay.
Like he wasn't really like the kind of grandfather like who was like present, really.
Mm.
So I don't know how you felt about us. That's what you leave kids with sometimes.
How was the funeral? Was it like well attended? Good work? Like how was the?
I would say, like, to put it in context, right? So my grandmother's brother, Uncle Doogie, rest in peace, Uncle Doogie, he passed away a couple months ago, right? Uncle Doogie's funeral was packed, right? Joe's funeral,
That's because Joe's peers wasn't alive no more.
I mean,
do my man job like that.
I'm gonna put it to you like this though, right? My
I'm not laughing,
Uncle
that's
Doogie,
funny.
my grandmother's brother, he was 87. My grandmother's 88. Her little brother is 87. He was 87 when he passed, and that thing was packed out. So I don't want to hear that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like,
That's because she was in the church every Sunday. That's
Yeah,
different.
I mean,
yeah.
that's true. Like, but that's another thing that's changed generationally. I think is like the importance of, like, you know, a spiritual connection
for sure.
that's like got structure behind it.
Yeah.
sure.
That might have lifted in my generation specifically.
Mhm.
Because I think, like, you feel like, is church important? Like,
Mm.
is connection more important than, you know, that particular thing? Like, you go through different phases in your life, it'll make you lose faith in those kinds of things, or you meet people who say they in the church and they not the kind of people that you find to be admirable or to
Yeah.
make you want more connection. It's
Yeah.
a million different scenarios
That's
you
for
can
sure.
walk through for that, right?
I got a question.
But that's different, I think. For
So
sure.
was church on like TV back in the day? Like,
Yeah.
was there like
Yeah.
the Creflo Dollars type people?
Yeah.
Mm.
I ain't know. I never knew. I was just curious because
This is hilarious. Church has always been on TV. Church has been
Okay.
on TV since, like, there was TV.
Yeah, the cable, like
Yeah,
teens,
like, since
13,
there was
page
cable.
13.
There was like I'm a little bit of a historian when it comes to like life in general. There was like Billy Graham, and like that generation of white, because there weren't black pastors on TV until like the TD Jakes Creflo Dollar era. Let's be clear.
Yeah, that's for sure.
At least I don't remember them.
That's
But there was like a large influx of like white male, because that's another thing that needs to be mentioned. It wasn't no women, but there was like this white Anglo-Saxon perception of like Christianity and what was right. And that doesn't mean that these people were like of any kind of like hindrance to like black culture or survival.
Yeah.
Just saying that there wasn't representation
that's
for a long time.
That's why I feel like black people left the church.
Representation.
No, not even that. Well, yeah. So if you see a bunch of black people like yourself on TV, now you're preaching and doing all the extra stuff, right? It goes back to the algorithm. We got black people on TV. Now I don't have to physically go in church. I can just sit here and watch the black man preach. I'm not going to go.
That's true.
Convenience. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's what it turned into. The TD Jakes and the Creflos and stuff like that changed the game, because like before I remember being in church like super, way back in the day, but TD Jakes on, we not going, bro. Like we not
That's
going.
Well, what changed it a little bit though was that because they left the church before that, before blacks got on TV, and that was a problem. It's all right. You can go so many levels.
Go ahead, brother Chase.
No, I'm not
ahead,
gonna go there.
Come on,
But-
brother.
I'm not gonna go there, but seriously, the youth left the church, right?
For sure.
That was that was a problem in on itself right there.
Mhm.
Not that the fact that it was church, but because we can't, sorry to say, indoctrinate them the way we want to, right? Because money
That's true.
was still became a god.
Mhm.
So if money became a god, I'm paying the church, right? And I'm getting money from the community, but there's nothing going around in the community to show for it. So the youth is looking like, hold up, man, the preacher is all about money. I'm about money. I'm gone.
Awareness higher.
So now let me put church on the TV to try to at least get them how I want them to.
Right.
So that was kind of a little bit of the history. But
And you know what I
yeah.
think it is too? And I'm only speaking from my generation, right? So I think what I remember was like, I graduated from college in 2011. I know, it's forever ago now. Do your math, kids. So I graduated from college in 2011, and I remember kind of like this wave of like understanding as far as like the LGBTQ community. And I felt like that was happening at every local school. It was happening at a Suitland and an Oxon Hill as a crowd. Like there was like this influx of people feeling free to be themselves. And I think a lot of those kids' parents went to church. And I think there is a certain way and perspective that the church sees the LGBTQ community. And so like here you have this next wave of youth that really would be impacting the way that your church operates and functions in the world. And you've pushed away what has become a very large part of the population. And I think churches now are being more accountable for trying to be inclusive of that. But I think that if you grew up in church, which I did, there is a perspective that is carried based on that lifestyle. And that perspective is not welcoming. So if you're not going to be welcoming to what has become a huge, very important, very like financially viable portion of the population, I think that had a lot to do with why like my generation and the generations after started to value church a little bit less, because they felt like that didn't include them.
And they wasn't getting judged from home. I'm just saying.
And there's a lot of judgment that comes out of church anyway.
Nah, for sure.
I
It
think was
is.
like of that generation where like that generation before me, like you wasn't really supposed to wear pants to church.
Yeah.
Or like girls had to wear skirts, or like you needed to wear tights. And like by the time I started going, like no, like my mother is like that, still wear tights every Sunday. Like I think my mother just started wearing pants to church like probably 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm being real. That's what I came from. I'm not doing that, bro.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
The grandma
Grandma with the stockings. Bro. Like I'm not doing that. I'm coming to church like this. Like this is a dressy church outfit I got on right now. I had a long day, y'all. Don't judge me. I'm jet lagged. But like I couldn't put this shit on today. I'm sorry, y'all. But like for real, I really remember that. Like I remember getting a side eye from women in the church, like because like we wasn't wearing skirts on Sundays because we was wearing jeans. Like because we didn't want to dress up for church no more.
Yeah.
So I think like these generational things impact the way that next generation like participates in these kinds of like what were really social constructs. And not to get too deep into that, but like a big part of Black culture for a long time was church.
Yeah.
It was how you stayed safe in certain communities. Because if you didn't go to church, like you might not have nobody in that community. These communities where they were still hanging out people from trees, where they were still lynching and killing us, where whistling or looking at a white woman could get you death. You know what I'm saying? Like church was like solace to these people. It was hope, but also it was protection. And I think like that necessity for that kind of protection doesn't exist in our communities the way that it once did. And I think that has trickled down in some ways.
Dang.
You don't agree with Chaz? Go on.
No, you got. I want to hear everybody, but you hit some points.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit some points. I mean, I don't know how to attack that, but go ahead. Y'all got
Hey,
it.
don't get up here and
No,
get
I'm not trying to nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a protection to it wasn't, right? So yeah, I'll come into your church and burn your cross and shoot people, and ain't no consequences for that. Like I'm just it's not a safe place for me no more. You know what I'm saying? So
That's a factor too.
Now when
I
you
hear
talk,
you.
but you're talking time period. So when we jump in time period, so that's why I say you hit points. I understand where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? But then, yeah. So
That's what I'm saying. The white dude shot the church up a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, you just got life over that.
Yeah, but still, you could just come and shoot the church up. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And these days, it's crazy.
And so the new generation, what I love about them is they our most fearless generation. Just little guidance here and there, but our most fearless generation. So like with the brother who son passed, he in the courtroom, he tried to intimidate her on the couch. He looking them in the dead eye.
Yeah.
So the fear of them is gone now. Is the new generation is like we ain't having it no more. It's gonna be consequences for doing stuff, and that's where we at now. But
Which is how revolutions begin.
And
frankly.
Yeah.
But I do think it's wild though, like how far we've gotten from like the concept of God in the church. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing either, because like I was somebody who like did not go to church for a long time. So and I am a PK, but my mother's a minister in our church, but I wasn't fucking with it. I mean, I don't come up here bullshit. Like I wasn't fucking with that shit. Like that's just what it was. Like I felt like I went to college and it expanded me beyond those 4 walls. And I just felt like church was very constrictive to like free thought. And I'm a person of free thought. I don't have to dress the way that you say or think the way that you say or move the way that you say. I don't owe you shit. I don't feel like I owe nobody nothing. So I'm gonna live my life exactly how I want to live it, in exactly the way that I see fit within a certain moral code, because I do come from like that kind of structure.
So you said, but so you're saying is a middle ground with you though, right?
Yeah, it's middle
So,
ground.
but most people don't have a middle ground. So you just said I,
Yeah.
right? Now, if it's a middle ground, then yeah, we could do a compromise, almost like that Drumline movie, right?
Mhm.
The old school, new school. You got to be a middle ground because you can't just be totally defiant and then go to God and say I was going to do it my
Not
way
for sure.
because He got rules too.
I went back to church, so
Exactly.
saying all this in the right no, I went back to church. So
Yeah.
I think like my middle ground now is like my understanding is that like them four walls ain't gonna save you.
Right.
Like you need relationship all on your own.
Mhm.
And I think that's the difference. I think I grew up in a structure that encouraged the structure, right? When really we need to be encouraging the structure, but the relationship first. The relationship got to be first. Then four walls is not going to save you if you don't care about the kind of human being that you are.
Mhm.
And I think like as I evolved in that kind of perspective, because I was doing music, you do come from church and there is this history of like devil music and all of that type of stuff. And I think when you understand music the way that the people sitting here understand music, you do understand the spiritual sway of it all. That there is a connection that it makes to the soul, and you need to be careful of how you operate within that. And to negate that would make you fucking naive. But at the end of the day, outside of like the spiritual connection of music, I just felt like I think I had gotten out of school and I had started worshiping differently when I was in school, because I went to school in West Virginia and I had a redneck pastor who I adored. And he had been a drug addict for a long time. And I think the way he understood God was based from a point of forgiveness. And so he operated like that. And so he did have like a very free form church. And so it changed from like, I think what I was used to as a youngin'. And when I came back home and sat back in that building, it just felt different for me. Like, it just felt like, is this about love? Is this about growth? Is this about helping people? Or is it about following rules? And that wasn't something I could just go along with anymore.
So what made you go back to church?
I think I just got to a point where the Bible says something about like forever learning and never coming into the knowledge of something. And I think like you can get to a point, like for me, I felt like I had been very fortunate very early, and I knew that wasn't an accident. I had graduated and then kind of like got the great job, and then like within a few years of that, like bought the house and had the boyfriend at that time. Love you, boo. Different. And I just felt like all the things were clicking. And I was like fucking miserable. And I started doing music, and I was like in a relationship at the time that was like super toxic, and in a bunch of friendships at the time which were super toxic. One of those days I'm going to get into that, because that person is somebody that you all know. But we'll avoid that today. But it's coming up and he know who I'm talking about. But I was just in these like very toxic relationships. Givers tend to meet takers. And so I had met a lot of takers, and music kind of became like my therapy and how I was dealing with it, right? It's how I was managing it. But you still need to go to actual therapy at some point, which I did, I think, a lot later than I probably should have. And so for me, it just got to a point of like, you have all the things and you're still not happy with none of it. Right? You've got the boyfriend, but like, is he really the one? Or you staying there because like this is what you think you should be doing. Like a girl at this point in life should be moving towards marriage, should be moving towards children. That's what people are saying you should be doing. And the closer I got to that, the more miserable I was, the more nervous I was, the more afraid I was, because I knew that this wasn't the guy, but like I was willing to maybe do the thing because that's what everybody is saying is the thing. And I just was like super lost. And my mom has always been somebody who put relationship first. With me, with God, with my brothers and sisters, with our family. And so I was raised on relationship. The structure comes in later. And I think I was like super lost and super unhappy and really depressed and going through. And she was just like, why don't you come to church on Sunday?
Good job, Mom. You got it right.
Shout out to my mother. She always gets it right. She always gets it right. And, you know, it was like no pressure, but like you think that having these things in place is going to save you, and it's not. It ain't but one thing that can save you, baby. And you need to like get realigned with that. She was like, and I'm not saying you got to come to church every Sunday, but what I am saying is that a big part of your ability to maintain like who you are as a person is rooted in that structure, because that's how I raised you. And whether you want to follow that structure every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday like we used to, or whether you want to find a way for that structure to work for the life that you live now, is on you. But you need to figure it out one way or the other. And so I started going back to church here and there. And even now I still don't go every Sunday, but I think I value it in a way that I didn't really when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because I understand now that like relationship beats religion every time. But in my specific case, I find that a lot of my personal discipline often lines up with where my structure is in a church.
Mhm.
And I look at it like this. I used to tell all my friends this in college, right? I look at my relationship with God like the relationship I have with my man. So if I'm in a relationship with somebody, you need dates in order for y'all to like feel like appreciated and to feel like we're like spending some kind of quality time together. And do you need a date night every single week? Maybe not, but it certainly couldn't hurt, right?
Mhm.
That's what Sundays with God are. That's your date night. It's your time to show that you're not ashamed of the relationship that you have with him, right? But at the same time, if you went out every Sunday for dates, but you never spent time together connected at home, what would that relationship really be where it matters? So you got to commune with God in your own house. You got to spend time with God in your own house outside of those walls, because a bunch of dates with no real connection ain't gonna matter, right? Reading the Bible is God talking to you, but in order for a relationship to have like open communication, it got to be a two-way street. So praying is you talking to God. The Bible is him talking to you. You need both of those in order for that communication to be relevant and connected. So that's how I look at my relationship with God, like overall. Do I get out to date night every Sunday? No, but I get there sometimes. I make sure that we spending quality time at home. I make sure that I'm prayed up because I want to make sure that I'm talking to God. I make sure my man prays so that he's talking to God, because if we're not aligned in that, we're not going to function either. Because I don't have time for that. Like I've already dealt with that part of his life too. The part of his life where he was figuring God out and like not reflecting that in terms of how he was treating people. I've been there. So you need to be praying too. You know what I'm saying? For this to function for the both of us. So I mean, like I look at God in a real world way. That don't make me perfect. I'm fucked up just like everybody else, but I really be trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just be trying. You know what I'm saying? Like that. To me, that's what it comes down to, and I think that's what it comes down to in everything. I think that's what it comes down to in music. I think that's what it comes down to when you building a business and a legacy, when you raising children and moving into the next phase of your life. Like if you are not like 100% good with like what you got going on with yourself, all that other shit like tends to be reflective of that chaos. So I think for me, it's just really about like connectivity with God in my case, right? If that's not your thing, then that's not your thing. And I understand that too. But like for me, connectivity with God and with myself is imperative, and it allows me to connect any other ways that I need to live the kind of life that I want to live. I like a good vacation here and there, you know what I'm saying? I like to have a couple of hours in the bank, you know what I'm saying? And you know, you need to be functional at your job and good at your job in order to grow in it, in order to have the things that you want to have, or to put you in a position where like maybe I don't need this job anymore, but you know, I'm able to learn what I need to learn in this space in order to move into the next space. So I think I'm just like in that space in life where like there's comfort in terms of like how I'm living, but not comfort in terms of like where I want to go.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. Chaz, let's go.
Man, hey, she was preaching. That's what's up. Shout out to you.
Really annoying right now.
Yeah, no, it's called Flip the Script. All right, you know, you ask questions, you know, and you just get basically your answer. You just kind of give me, you know, why you're thinking of why you say. All right. So, all right, bet. Would you rather create work that your children can be proud of in any setting, or make content that pays for their future but isn't something you'll want them to see, that isn't something you want to see them in?
Let's start with you, Bob.
I would, That's it. Whatever the first one was, I'm going with the first one. What'd you say?
Would you
Like-
rather create work that the children can be proud of in any setting, or make content that pays for their future,
Yeah,
but isn't something you'll want them to see?
yeah. I don't ever want to do something I'm ashamed of.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's as simple as I can answer it. Like, you know what I mean? I think because that's basically saying you're gonna do something that's against your morals. I'm never gonna do that. So yeah.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to be Ray J and Kim. You know, I'm trying to do something that I can show them. So yeah.
Respect. Sean.
Yeah, I think that answer. Right?
Yeah.
We're not giving up no integrity, no morals. Again, you're trying to pass down the legacy. You want your kids to be able to. You want to be able to showcase that. You want to be able to, stand on that.
It's easy to say that, right? But shout out to DDG for being the exact fucking opposite of everything you just said just now. DDG is the most clout chasing, dick suckingest nigga I've ever seen.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is. And I think the interesting thing about that
What you
is
mean
that
by that?
Yeah,
Like,
look
what
at
you mean? I think-
damn, man.
You explain it. You gotta explain it. You can't just call them that. That's
Nah,
crazy.
I'm good at that. That's cool. All right, so here we go, right? So a big part of DDG's new wave in content creation is the fact that he had a child, right?
Mm.
People are interested in that. People are interested in that child's mother. That's a big point of reference in terms of his content creation. So he uses that kid as like a pitch point, right? They have not had an amicable situation up to this point, as the restraining order would suggest. And so I was looking at his content for the last like couple of weeks or so, just since the restraining order.
Mm.
I just was curious because I had kind of like watched clips of him on TikTok and on YouTube because he's friends with another YouTuber that I really do like.
Mm.
This guy named Clarence NYC. And like his earlier journey, they did a lot of content
Yeah.
together. So I was looking at like kind of like how the content had changed, if it had changed since the restraining order. And I thought it was fascinating that without that child, without that girl being the center of the story, it's just like drama all around it, right? So the big thing was like Kai's streamer university, to which he had initially gotten rejected and then accepted later on. I think the controversy made for more views. Right?
Yeah,
Oh,
for
this
sure.
is a plan. We get that. So when he got a streaming university, right, you can't talk about this child or this baby anymore. The restraining order says that.
Mm.
So it's like, well, what's interesting about me besides that? Nothing. So the new content is about India Love, Duke Dennis, and this love triangle. That to me is what makes this nigga the lamest nigga on earth. Because there's nothing about you that's really all that interesting. Everything is surrounded by like who you fucking or fucking with.
But that's not true because he was kind of lit before he had his child. So somebody had to be. He had to be
Yeah,
in
that's how we got in that
Yeah.
situation. But you gotta think about how like streaming works in terms of content, right? So like streaming is like super momentary.
Yeah,
So it's streamers that's like they hit for a little bit and then
but he's
they
been like the
get out of
biggest for a minute
relationship.
though.
That's the reality. Like your streaming is based on like what you introduce people to,
Yeah.
right? So if you introduce this child in this relationship, you've made it all about this. This is what becomes your shtick. When you remove that shtick, you can't just go back to who you were before all of that because that's no longer where the current is moving. Just because like you're still that same person that happened before, like you introduced this to your streaming network, like that doesn't change the fact that your viewers are not there anymore. This part of you is just
But he
no
had the
longer
most.
there.
But he had the most. He had the most views
The
at streaming
juice is there,
university.
man.
Right.
You know why though?
The same.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because it's a little bit both, but
DG.
streaming is now it's like WWE. It's all with content creation. The
Persona.
It's really content curating now at this point because it's so it's storylines and scripts. That's all.
Yeah, it is. It's
That's
scripts.
that's
It
my
is.
point.
Yeah.
His
But-
storyline or script
so
was
you
never
took-
about DDG,
It's not supposed to be.
but it always was before the chick and the baby.
No, it was about relationships and girls mostly.
Yeah, that was
He always have a girl in the video.
But he was always the star of those situations. The girls were just like filler. Now he's the filler.
Is he?
Yeah.
Hey, I say capitalize off of every moment you get, bro.
God.
I mean, if Chloe and the baby was the biggest moment in his life, capitalize off it. Do what you gotta do. I ain't saying forget your morals and stuff like this. It's not like he's
Sounds
saying
like-
I don't think I don't think he was a bad dad though.
Yeah.
how you know. It's like, no, I'm just
Yeah,
playing.
I don't know.
You should stay right the fuck there.
I'm
I'm
with
just
you.
playing.
No,
I'm
I
just
can answer
playing.
that. I can answer that. I don't know on both sides to say it
I'm
was a
just-
bad or a good one. Right? You know what I'm saying? So
But at least
to
he's
say
trying
that-
to see.
Right,
his
it's like he
kid.
wanted to be
But
there.
I do know
So you
he
better
made a baby with a Disney star, and I do know and what that world is.
Yeah.
So I know ain't no accident that these allegations come up now out the blue, but that's a whole nother story too.
And she Disney star. She like what she signed to who?
Rock Nation.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a label or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's a you know what I mean? Like they signed to Rock Nation, but like
So they were Rock Nation. Or they signed a Beyonce label,
now they were signed to Beyonce's label, not Rock Nation.
Oh, okay.
Beyonce,
Right? No,
which is what I forget
Same
the label.
thing.
but-
Rock Nation.
same thing.
It's like,
Rock
no,
Nation,
I mean,
Jay-Z got his
they-
hands in it for sure.
Satan and some shit. The point is though, like what really happened with that Beyonce deal for either of them? I think for Chloe, she rebranded herself out of her career, but for Halle, like because her mode was like reinvention. She didn't want to be like the cute sister anymore. She wanted to be like a sex symbol, and I think like it ruined everything.
No,
But
No,
yeah,
with Chloe.
like,
Yeah.
That's-
yeah,
that's
she-
why Halle's
you
bigger than
rebranded
her.
yourself out of a career. That's why Halle is so much more interesting because like she just stuck with what she already was. Whereas
Yeah.
you tried to like reinvent yourself and just ended up making yourself like,
She
Yeah.
passed around.
yeah,
It's like, nah.
which is probably not even true. Like,
Yeah.
listen, we feminists up here. Watch your mouth. But
I'm just
like,
saying.
my point with Chloe is like, if you're not passed around, which I don't think that you are, like, I think you're making yourself look like that. And I think perception is reality
Yeah.
in this era. So
For
like,
sure.
but for either one, like I ain't see what either one was doing too much as far as the music. That's my only point. You know?
Because the
So
Mermaid
we
movie
jumping
was a
on
big
tangents,
deal.
but
The Mermaid movie,
they had
she
like,
was
yeah, the Mermaid movie,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's
That's it. She
probably got
the
bigger bag
studio.
than
I thought it was gonna be
Chloe
another
has
movie
ever
after that, but
No, I mean like from like Halle is like doing her thing from an actress's
yeah,
perspective.
for sure.
But I'm talking about the music specific,
Oh yeah.
right? Like they had that little joint "Do It," but other than that song, I don't remember no album.
So what like
song.
Chloe? So Chloe went. So what happened with?
She
like,
went
so
solo.
She went solo, but then her sister
out an
got
album.
pregnant.
Yeah, she went solo. Her sister got
Around that
pregnant.
time, right?
I think it was like let's say like a few months after at least.
Okay,
It wasn't the same time for sure.
but they probably already knew Chloe was trying to do her own thing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah. I'm pretty sure they knew like Chloe, but I mean the solo career is still under the same label, so it's not like you can't manage all
did
that.
they have a
in-house.
hard time? Like to me, from just looking at like from the outside looking in, it seemed like the fans weren't ready for her to grow up like that yet.
I agree.
It's always a hard transition.
I agree.
And so she like, y'all, you want me to keep being a little girl? Like I'm grown now.
Nah,
I
fact.
want this. I want to express myself.
But I think like you can be grown and still like not be a sex.
It was
pot.
the way the
It's the
perception.
way- it's
like,
You gotta
I
ease
think-
people into it.
I think the
She
issue
just
is
jumped out there,
Yeah,
bro.
she just flipped.
you don't have to associate like complete and total sexual liberation with being grown, and that association make you immature by nature to me.
Mm.
You thinking that you gotta be a fuck Joan in order for you to be a real woman tell me a lot about how you see yourself.
Mm.
So I don't want to hear that.
I was going to say,
I ain't see. I just said
I don't
like,
think that that's how she saw
being
herself,
more
but I think
revealing.
like that
and stuff. I ain't see her
the
being like
strip
too
the strip
crazy. She
shows
wasn't
on
moving
stage and
crazy.
shit like that. Like Beyonce was
Oh, you
way
saying like
yeah,
more,
like
yeah.
the performances and stuff
They
like
should
that.
stop
But
putting
ain't that
like
like
These people
the
are not
team?
necessarily listening to all the music.
Is that all her or the team?
The team, man. It's
Yeah.
always
Yeah, because the team ain't gonna let you. Yeah, they ain't gonna let you do it. If they don't like it, they ain't gonna let you do it.
stand
okay,
on,
you ready?
nah, stand on
Yeah,
business,
bro.
So
bro.
now she's being more provocative, like what she.
So you
probably-
thinking it's more
I get
label
what
than
you're
her?
saying though.
No,
I think it
you
was
know
her
that
too.
answer.
But I think they put that battery in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she was like, "Look, I don't want
It's
to.
about money
growing
versus
up now. I want
Yeah.
more things." They're like, all right, let's go then.
Let's put them all
Money
in.
versus the crab.
You get
That's what I'm
naked on
saying.
stage.
Money versus the crab.
So
This is
you
all
know
the
the
shit boiled
answer.
down to we done brought it full circle for
So
you
you
niggas.
know the answer.
I'm trying to tell you,
So they
that's
brought
real.
everything for her.
I agree. I couldn't have said it any better than Sean said it right now. I think that she had a perception of herself as far as wanting to be a mature, grown, sexy adult. I think that her vision for that is corny because I think they corny as a whole. These is corny motherfuckers. Like they just Oklahoma, Buck Tussle, back of Alabama, motherfuckers. Like these is corny motherfuckers just in general. I think I can say that because I come from the coolest city in the world, and y'all niggas know that. So I mean, there's a corniness that was cute and workable
This is crazy.
for Chloe and Halle, and we like that cute, corny shit that was working. You was making corny cool, like the Disney Channel and shit. We love it. It's great. But there comes a time when you do need to grow and mature, and I do understand that. But I think like her idea of what that looked like wasn't right. And I think, yeah, the label probably had a lot of inspiration in pushing that particular ideology forward to make it much more than maybe it should have been. But I think like A. Marie came out the gate grown and sexy and never came off like some dirty little slut. Like, I mean, it's the truth. Like
Yeah, but now
Dirty little
in the
slut is
times we're in
crazy.
now, the more dirty you are, the more money versus,
Right.
Crap.
Sex sells.
you know.
shout out to Sexy Red.
And so if I have twins, if I got twins as a product, one of them gonna be evil, one of them gonna be the angel.
But is it though?
And it's
Like,
probably
does
the
sex
one that's the angel's probably the one that
The evil one.
Do-
Right.
Exactly.
I don't know because
No,
Lotto's,
no,
Right,
yeah.
Lotto's
Yeah,
biggest
free
thing is her
DDG.
low
Say
body
no.
count. Lotto is like a sex pot, just like all the mother hoes. But her biggest thing is like low body count. So it's like, oh, I'm sexy, but not like overly sexual.
Oh,
Sorry,
man.
I didn't say it.
They're just trying
No comment.
All
No
the
comment.
trying to make it sound good.
Yeah, no comment.
Maybe she don't, but it's like I don't know. He keeps saying it too much for me. It's
Yeah.
All I know is
maybe she proud of that though, but it's like
Not
somebody's probably
Yeah.
I ain't even.
Somebody
Might
knocked
probably
some of
put
the
in-
coins out that
somebody-
jump.
somebody-
Like I don't
so you
believe
might-
that hoe say. Like
somebody-
Lotto, you a lying ass bitch. Like I don't care what nobody say. I don't believe you at all. Like I know you done hit 37 niggas. Like this low body
I
count.
think
thing,
37.
You
37
say it
is
every
crazy,
week.
bruh.
And no woman who has a low body
gonna
count
keep
feels the
talking
need to
about it.
always keep talking about the fact that they have
I
a
think
low
she's
body.
saying it maybe like all right. Maybe
No, they
she's
do that
saying it because
sometimes.
all everybody
Right,
else
they do.
We do something.
talking about some wild like how they fucking everybody.
That's
So
true.
maybe she like all right. I'm not with that.
Right, let me
Everybody
just
ain't
do the
with this.
opposite.
Yeah, I fuck with
But
it.
whoever hit it probably
But
put his foot on her neck.
Big facts. That's what I was about to get to. I was about to say.
She always said she swallowing all that every time.
Yeah.
So it's like you freaked out. Don't act like you ain't freaked out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
all I know
Which
is,
is
man,
cool.
shout out,
Lotto.
listen, shout out to these young boys streaming because that's who we're gonna be studying in a minute because these
You
dudes.
think so?
Oh, for
They making
sure.
way more. Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure, they geniuses right now. This is the new TV. You know, so that's why it says content curating. They curating content right now. Storylines,
I think
scripts.
Captain Nat is a genius. I ain't gonna say all them niggas at that university is genius.
DDG, one of them.
Yeah, he is.
DDG gotta be a
One of them,
genius.
I'm
That
sorry.
was
He been
sorry.
doing it the longest.
And we will
he be
research.
chilling. He don't even be doing nothing.
He's brilliant.
Right.
He's brilliant.
Like he didn't even stream. I don't even think he streamed when he was at streaming
Give me
university.
I'm telling you,
Explain
he's
why
brilliant,
DDG is
yo.
brilliant. I'm listen. I'm the kind of person I'm open to being wrong about things. I'm open to interpretation.
Because off
you
the
want to
top,
explain the shit.
because
out of me.
he's a top 5 streamer in the world.
That don't mean shit.
That
I was
means
about
a
to
lot.
say
Dude.
top streamer.
That means a lot. If you're gonna
That
say
mean he a
Kai,
genius?
what makes Kai that same intelligent?
Yeah, go ahead.
The university.
That was fire. I agree with that. That was genius.
That one
But
time-
before that,
And guess what? In the reviews and the comments, 2 of the top classes that they loved the most was Agent and DDG.
And look, I'll say this though. And Duke Dennis went to the stream and didn't even stream. I thought that was genius because that's all we talk about is Duke Dennis from the jump.
Facts.
Didn't even stream. That's genius.
I mean,
Dang, so I ain't gonna lie.
Well,
I ain't all the way
Technically, he just
streamers
he
and
clip
all
farmed
that.
it.
I ain't-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he ain't streamed from his
He
own.
didn't
You know what I
stream from
mean?
his own personal, but
Because he knew everybody would be.
He
You know what I
clip
mean?
farmed it and boom.
So they was on Kai's stream
Everybody had their own
for
stream.
the. Okay, so everybody had their own stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, and this is how it worked when we talk corporations too, because he's a corporation, Kyle, right?
Yeah.
That was small there. DDG about to have his storyline and script is that love stuff. He about to have a Love's Island that everybody used to go on Netflix and watch. That's about to be his brand.
Yeah, that's
Love
what we
Island,
found.
this, that,
I
and
saw
the
it. Yeah.
So
DDG a genius,
on,
man. You gotta
man.
give it to him,
You
man.
gotta give him his flowers.
I'm telling you.
He's still relevant.
The my ball
I'm
joint,
telling
got all the
you.
kids saying my
I'm
ball.
telling
all
You
that.
know what I think is a great lesson in all this for you niggas to learn? All the money and genius in the world, don't unlame a motherfucker.
Don't unfold
yeah.
nigga, huh?
She hate the nigga, man.
100%.
Right.
100%.
She hate
That's
us,
cool.
man.
I agree with
Hate
you.
such a strong word. Like, hate such
Man, all right, damn, I had one more. All right, man, I had one more, but yeah,
got me off topic.
man, you're gonna be studying them in a little bit.
This
I'm gonna come back in like 6 months.
dumb dizzy goose.
She gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
DDG,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because we ought to be curating out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's who we gotta study. But okay. Would you rather build generational wealth for your family through work that doesn't fulfill you, or pursue your passions knowing it might leave them financially struggling?
You already know my answer.
But
I don't got kids, so I can't.
you didn't say you don't care about
No,
generational wealth,
I
so
don't,
you,
bruh,
your
I
parents,
could care less right now. But
Yeah,
I ain't
yeah,
even gonna
yeah,
lie because
yeah.
I don't have kids to really care about.
So
But
you-
maybe if I had a kid,
you
then I'd be
pursuing your
like,
passion.
yeah,
Mm.
easily. Because
That's deep.
one of these days we're gonna get in the Marx family structure. I think it would be interesting. Because I think the concept that like I don't have kids to care about this is.
I mean, I was there before, and that's why I understand what I didn't even want no kids, so I understand what he.
Mhm.
So after my mindset was the same thing. Like, I'm never having kids. You know what I'm saying? Then when you had kids, it's like
yeah, I
change,
just gotta have
a switch flip immediately.
I'm
I
like,
Like,
mean,
you know what I'm saying?
to some it's switch.
Some-
it
to
don't.
some,
Like,
to
fuck
some.
These kids,
Yeah, no,
I-
for
I
sure,
wouldn't
for
be
sure,
that-
Please
for
don't be
sure.
that, bro.
Right, I ain't gonna
For
be
sure.
that brother, but I'm just saying, like,
For me, it's flipped immediately.
I
Like,
just,
immediately.
I just can't see myself because I just know how I feel about my great grandparents. Like, you know, they was cool and all. They did what they had to do to survive, but like, I don't really know too many stories about them, so I can't really sit there and really like I'm passionate. I love them, and I just want to do this for them. Like, I just can't say that.
But they left you good karma though.
Why you say that?
Mm.
Cause look at you. You in a good spot. You doing well. You know what I'm saying? I don't know
Well,
your
the
story.
manifestation of their
I don't know
purpose
your
is
story
on-
fully. You know what I'm saying?
The way you think,
But you
come
know,
from, yeah.
Yeah, more than
you
you know.
got good
Yeah.
karma. Now, when she was talking about her family structure, I knew, you know, through her parents and her family, they left good karma for her.
Mhm.
Yeah, all right, I can look at it that way. I'm gonna leave good karma for the ones.
I
But
get
you
what
ain't
you're
way
saying,
back.
though.
But you ain't leaving
I
no money.
understand what
I definitely
No, I'm not leaving no
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
You see what Jackie Chan left his son?
But that's why.
I'm
But
just
that's
saying.
why for me it's so big to leave a legacy because I don't want my great
Feel the
grandson
same way I do.
to be like,
Yeah.
no, I know what he did.
Yeah.
Mm.
I could tell you about what my great grandfather did.
Nah,
Mm.
facts.
You get what I'm saying?
No, it makes sense.
So like for me, that's why that's important.
Because that's what keeps you alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you get to that point where I could talk about they still live
I
on.
want to pass down. You know what I'm saying? Like my family ain't really having that. So it's
Yeah.
like I feel like it's on my shoulders. You know what I'm saying?
No, it makes sense.
To pass down so my great grandkids is good. You know what I'm saying?
I just gotta have a kid.
It's a lot of work and sacrifices coming.
I just gotta have a kid to know.
Take
No,
your
it makes
time.
it makes
Take your
sense
time.
though.
Take your time. Man.
Even
Maybe
if,
it's different for
well,
women.
even if you
Maybe
don't
there's
have no
always love
kids, your
before they get
niece, you got
Nieces
brothers,
and
Say
nephews,
your
yeah.
nieces,
Maybe
nephews,
there's always
your
love
cousins,
before the
just
children
your
are
family.
born.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I do-
In the nurture.
Well,
I do feel that way, though.
there's a lot of women these days who just don't care about you. They want career and they ain't.
That's true too.
So-
yeah.
so back is
You just come from you don't even count. You don't even count. You come. I listen to your story. You got a nice structure and a good foundation.
Nice,
Yeah.
little,
Building,
nice little pyramid.
you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of families that's missing pieces and stuff, so like it'd be a little bit different.
Mhm, mhm.
But no, it makes sense. My bad, I didn't mean to take up.
I'm sorry, I ain't mean to cut your wisdom, but
Mhm.
my bad. I kind of.
Nah, but it- nah, but nah,
Yeah, I
that
can't really
makes
answer
sense.
after him. We be having the same answer. To be
Yeah, I
honest
mean,
with you.
yeah.
You got really-
I'm about to say repeat the question again.
Yeah, would you rather build generational wealth for your family through work that doesn't fulfill you, or pursue your passions knowing it might leave them financially struggling?
I mean, I feel like it's a balance in there.
Nah, man,
Okay,
you always doing this.
Playing-
both
playing-
ways.
playing the-
It's not
playing the
both.
fence.
Pick one right now. Pick one.
I feel like you can do both. No, I do feel like that. I feel
You
like
gotta
you
make
can,
these questions
I feel like
hard.
you
I'll make them harder,
but I
but
feel like you could be working a job that you know ain't what you really want to do, but you making a sacrifice while whole time your whole intention is the passion. How you setting that up? You get what I'm saying? So I feel like it could be done both. But if I have to give an answer,
So you feel like generational wealth could be built? I feel like it can, but not in this present time.
what? Or what?
That generational wealth could be built further down the line. That's something that doesn't fulfill you. But I think later down the timeline, the stuff that fulfill you can generate generational wealth, but not right now. I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, it may be a lot of sacrifices in that, though. But, you know,
And how many are you willing to make? Is always the question.
right.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to sacrifice something for a year or 2 or 3. What if
Yeah.
that's a 5-year sacrifice? What if it turns into 10?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a decade.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, and especially I think when you're talking about music, like those are long roads.
Yeah, fact.
You know what I mean? And like you might be working 10, 15 years before you get your moment.
For sure.
Mhm.
Right? How long? Like that's I think, the shout out to Nipsey, man. Like that's what he was saying. Like the only distinguishing quality was that he didn't quit.
Right.
And I think those are always the
Mhm,
ones.
yeah.
But how long did you stay in that?
I mean,
You take a
for a long time, but like I said, some people, it just depends. 'Cause I know some people who just be like, I'm gonna do my passion. They don't want to go get no job to go with that.
For sure.
To complement that,
Yeah.
to hold it down, pay your bills, take care of your youngin.
For sure.
Have shit. You know what I'm saying? While whole time you going in and clocking in every day, them people don't even know the whole time. Like, I got a whole master plan.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what you working toward?
Mm.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I feel like you could do both. You can do something that's not fulfilling you to provide in this moment and help you with your dream and your passion at the same time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? While you building that, because it's going to take you some time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's probably not going to just happen overnight. So, yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the same answer as him, honestly. That's why it's kind of bad. Quick, we be having the same. Like I be just saying the same thing he's saying for real.
Yeah.
I agree with that, man. I agree.
What a coincidence that you two might see the world in a similar way.
Oh, good job. You think?
Who ever predicted that?
We probably got similar situations.
Yeah,
We
for
been
sure.
Talking similar
Yeah,
situations.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No one saw that coming.
Give her flowers, I guess. Let's give her flowers.
I think I'm doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, man, it's been a great show. We could stay here all night. But Mark got something to do. I see him checking his watch and he's getting on my nerves. So let's get up out of here, man. All right, we're gonna let y'all go around the room, get your socials, and we're gonna wrap it up. Sean, let's start with you.
My social is Sean_Minotti, MINATTI. That's on Instagram. What I'm on? Instagram.
X, TikTok,
I don't got no X.
Twitch.
TikTok.
Discord.
And I got Threads.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't do all. It's too many apps. I can't barely keep up with Instagram. So definitely follow me on there. If you are an artist, let's work. Check out my merch. I got some merch that's just dropped. We about to run down the merch this year for the rest of the year. I got some singles dropping with some artists coming out. So be stay on the lookout for that. And yeah, man. Tap in.
King Mark, KINGMARQ, Mark with a Q. King Mark with a Q _ on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Discord, Twitch. It's like, no, I'm joking. I ain't got all that. But just Instagram, Snapchat, and X, Twitter. So yeah.
Bobby Higgins, simple. BOBBYHAGENS on everything. So that's Instagram, X, TikTok. That's mostly what I'm on.
And when is the project coming out, Bobby?
June 17th. Then we coming back again October, like 12th. Then we coming back again like November. To be determined. Sure.
Sounds like Bobby.
Chaz
For
DL
sure.
on everywhere. Google it. CHASDELLE. The Bird by the Door is out now. I am working on a new audio book. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Since we're doing drops, holla at me though, man. I'm doing stuff for the youth and the community, man. If you got any resources or love to help out the youth, man, reach out to me. I'm doing some great work. So yeah, appreciate y'all brothers for coming on. having a good conversation with us. Really appreciate that. Like, share, subscribe, Mia. That's it.
And I am, of course, your host at Mia Was Here, 5 underscores. And of course, you can follow the You Weren't There podcast on Instagram, TikTok. We'll be on Discord soon, Patreon soon as well. And of course, make sure you follow us on X and all of the regular joints. Also, You Weren't There podcast is branching off a little bit. We got a travel show that we're gonna be featuring as well. I do it all the time, so I've had a lot of people ask me about that. So we're getting ready to launch that. The trip that I just came back from, which was Ireland and London, will be the first of those episodes. So make sure y'all check that out. But we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're honored that you sat in here for another week to listen to our amazing guests. And we'll see y'all again soon. Take care.